So I want to go through a case study real quick. I had a client who wanted a new job and a new environment. Okay. She was in procurement in healthcare. So she did purchasing for a healthcare company, but she wanted to be a fashion buyer. Right? What? That is like, whew, crazy. That's how you may be surprised at how much commonalities those things have. Okay. I wanted to highlight her transferable skills. Okay. I wanted to focus on the most relevant experiences and of course showcase her quantifiable value. Okay. So I'm basically going to, this is the resume I created for her. Not ATS friendly, just to throw that out there. This is not ATS friendly. There's another version that I did that is much, less with the boxes and all that, that worked. But this is, kind of elevated version. And so I'm going to break down each section here and really show you how we were able to make the parallels and position her for her dream job of being a fashion buyer. All right, so let's dive into this. Okay, and this is all fictionalized. This is not her real name or contact information. This is very fake, but the content is pretty real. Okay, so this is her intro. Okay, assistant fashion buyer. That's the role she wants. That's how we branded her. That's who she is. That's what she does. Okay. Right here.
Actually, Melanie, if I could interrupt.
Yes.
I know a lot of questions we've gotten in presenting our course. A lot of people are hesitant to call themselves, like in this case, an assistant fashion buyer, if they haven't done that before. Could you speak to that some, please?
Yes, absolutely. So she had worked in fashion before, so she was fine with calling herself that. If you've never done it before, you may not necessarily want to call yourself that specifically, but you could say aspiring such and such. You could say, well suited for roles in such and such. You could say targeted roles, such and such, right? So there's different ways you could go about doing this. I think it's important to just kind of frame the resume with who you are, what you want, somehow, some way, whether it's calling yourself that or just stating that's what you want or what you're targeting. I think it's kind of important just so the reader knows, okay, great, this is right on, spot on to what I'm looking for. Let me keep reading, type of thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so this line here is basically connecting the dots for the reader, right? Leveraging expertise in purchasing, supply chain operations, and vendor relations to pursue fashion buyer positions, right? So it's basically telling the reader, I've been purchasing and supply chain and vendor stuff. Now I want to do fashion buying. Right at the top, first line. Okay. Now, all right, so getting into like the summary paragraph, she's a fashion enthusiast. So I want to call her that because she is. She loves fashion. She has a knack for recognizing future trends and staying abreast of current styles. And so this part is kind of her thing. She always has done this. Even when she was doing the boring healthcare procurement stuff, she always was staying on top of brands. The thing is, you have to work with what you have. Okay. So whatever you have, this is what we're going to put forth, period. We're not going to make up things or, to make it fit. We're going to use what we have. So this is what she had. She wanted to show that she always recognized, trends and staying up to date with the styles. That was her thing. So that's what we started with. Then we went into her background, right? So career background success, providing operational support with vendors within large scale supply chain warehouse operation. So I put that in there because I wanted to show her ability to work with vendors, because as a fashion buyer, you're working with fashion designers or manufacturers or retailers, or not retailers, probably are the retailer, but you're working with designers and people that are selling their stuff, material, clothes, etc., to you. And so they typically would have a warehouse situation. And so I felt like that tied together. So that's why I included it there. I also wanted to talk about her inventory control, right? So well-versed in high volume inventory control strategies, monitor and contain costs for an assortment of 1,000+ items. So that's her intro. Very, very, not too much going on, very brief. Hitting on some of the things that she felt like we felt would position her accordingly. Okay. This second piece is highlighting things that are relevant. Okay. So the 3 little arrows are the 3 things I felt like we wanted to make sure we put forth. So she recently completed her courses, right, in fashion buying and merchandising from this college, and then a retail buying and merchandising at Udemy. So I wanted to put that first, like, hey, here's my most relevant thing I've done. I took these courses. Great. Then the second line was about her familiarity with apparel merchandising and retail operations. Okay. And I said gained from internship with high-end Nigerian boutique. Okay. She was Nigerian. And she worked in fashion in Nigeria. So that was her experience. Then the last line is about her collaborative relationship building, global perspective, because typically, fashion is a global thing, who's lived abroad and worked abroad. And she can persuade and lead and collaborate with multiple personalities and diverse backgrounds. So these are the things that I wanted to highlight for her that were most relevant to what she wanted to be doing as a fashion buyer. Then some of the transferable skills I wanted to throw in, of course, right here. Okay. Retail buying, procurement purchasing, right? Fashion buyer, you're purchasing, supply chain, warehouse operations, contract negotiations, inventory. These are all very relevant to what a fashion buyer may need to know, okay, in terms of skills. Okay, let's see. And then going into her experience, you may notice that it's not in chronological order. I grouped it and called it fashion retail experience and pulled her internship from Nigeria first. So the reader gets retail fashion first. And they're not distracted by purchasing and healthcare, right? It's still there, of course, because there is definitely value there, but we're shifting and we want to make sure that she's being seen in a fashion light. So I moved her internship first, called it fashion and retail experience, and then described what she did. Okay, I'm not gonna really go into all of that, but just to show you like the strategy behind it. And then we went into her business experience and talked about her healthcare purchasing stuff. Okay. So that's just an example. This could look totally different for you, right? But I wanted to show and really make sure you understand the parallels between doing that work and assessing and figuring out what you're good at, what you've done, what you need, right? So she didn't have a lot of experience. So she was like, let me take this course, right? And let's highlight the fact that I have this course under my belt. I did a little internship, in Nigeria. Cool. Let's bring that to the forefront so that they can see that I have experience in fashion in some way, shape, or form, right? And so that's the route that we took. She did end up getting her her fashion buying job. And so yeah, that was her specific situation.